A bombshell revelation has sent shockwaves through the casino industry this week, and the response from executives has been nothing short of explosive. An anonymous employee from one of Las Vegas's premier casino resorts has leaked internal documents and training materials that expose calculated strategies the industry has fought for decades to keep under wraps. The CEO's public statement, released just hours after the leak went viral, didn't just deny the allegations, it erupted with threats of legal action, accusations of corporate espionage, and what industry insiders are calling an unprecedented meltdown that may have only confirmed the whistleblower's claims. Today, we're breaking down the 5 secrets that have casino executives scrambling for damage control, and why this story matters for anyone who's ever walked through those glittering doors. The first secret involves something deceptively simple, where the slot machines are placed on the casino floor. According to leaked floor plans and internal strategic documents, every single machine's location is determined by sophisticated psychological mapping that would make a behavioral scientist proud. The employee revealed that casinos deliberately place their highest payout machines near entrances and in highly visible areas. The reason? To create what insiders call the winner's atmosphere. When you walk into a casino and immediately hear bells ringing and see people celebrating jackpots, that's not coincidence. It's calculated theater. Meanwhile, the tightest machines, those with the lowest payout rates, are strategically positioned in high traffic areas where players are already deeply committed to gambling. These machines are placed near restrooms, ATMs, and food courts, locations where you're likely to pump in a few quick bets while passing through. The leaked documents go even further, detailing how temperature control, lighting intensity, and even oxygen levels are optimized in different zones to encourage longer playing sessions. Warmer temperatures and brighter lights near entrances give way to cooler, more comfortable environments deeper in the casino, where time seems to disappear. When confronted with these revelations, the CEO's response was immediately defensive and aggressive. In a statement dripping with legal threats, he called the claims a gross mischaracterization of standard industry practices and accused the whistleblower of breaching confidentiality agreements. But notably, he didn't deny the practices themselves. Industry spokesperson statements that followed tried to spin this as simply creating an enjoyable atmosphere for guests, but gambling addiction counselors and consumer advocates were quick to point out the ethical implications. Dr. Sarah Chen, a psychologist specializing in gambling behavior, noted in her response that this level of environmental manipulation specifically targets cognitive vulnerabilities, making it harder for players to make rational decisions about when to stop playing. The second secret cuts even deeper into the surveillance state that modern casinos have become. Those loyalty cards that promise you free play, complimentary meals, and exclusive rewards, they're tracking far more than you're spending. According to the leaked materials, every single bet you make, every win, every loss, and even how long you hesitate before making decisions is recorded and analyzed by advanced algorithms. But here's where it gets truly disturbing. These algorithms are specifically designed to identify what internal documents call vulnerable, high-value players. The system flags individuals showing patterns consistent with problem gambling behavior, and rather than intervening to help, it triggers targeted marketing. Players identified as chasing losses receive personalized offers at precisely calculated moments. A free hotel room after a losing streak, complimentary drinks when betting patterns show frustration, or a personal casino host who suddenly takes interest in your well-being. The leaked screenshots show player classification systems with labels like whale, grinder, and perhaps most chillingly, at risk, high value. These aren't just categories for customer service. They're targeting profiles for exploitation. The CEO's response to this revelation was perhaps his most furious. He called the characterization outrageous and defamatory, insisting that loyalty programs are simply standard customer service and pointing to the casino's responsible gambling initiatives. Yet the leaked training documents tell a different story, explicitly instructing hosts on how to maximize lifetime player value from individuals showing addiction warning signs. Privacy advocates have drawn comparisons to social media companies' algorithmic manipulation. But at least Facebook isn't calibrated to drain your bank account in real time. Michael Rodriguez, a former casino data analyst who has since become an industry critic, confirmed that this level of surveillance and targeting is indeed standard across major casino corporations, not the actions of one rogue operator. The third secret revolves around something most players think they understand: the odds. Casinos are legally required to disclose payout percentages and house edges, and they do, technically. But the leaked internal training materials reveal a culture of strategic deception through selective truth-telling. When a slot machine advertises a 95% return to player rate, that number is mathematically accurate, but practically meaningless for any individual gambler. That percentage is calculated over millions of spins, potentially years of play. In your single session, your actual return could be 0%, and the casino knows most players don't understand this distinction. The documents show that employees are specifically trained to deflect when players ask detailed questions about odds, redirecting conversations toward entertainment value rather than mathematical reality. Progressive jackpots with million-dollar prizes have odds buried in microscopic fine print that would make winning the lottery look probable by comparison. Even table games aren't immune. The leaked memos discuss the subtle shift from 3-to-2 blackjack payouts to 6-to-5 ratios, a change that dramatically increases the house edge, while most players remain completely unaware. When pressed on these mathematical smoke and mirrors tactics, the CEO released a statement citing full regulatory compliance and accusing the employee of fundamentally misunderstanding casino operations. He's technically correct about compliance. Gaming regulations require disclosure, but they don't require clarity or comprehension. Dr. Anthony Watts, a mathematician who specializes in gambling analytics, reviewed the leaked materials and confirmed that while nothing described is illegal, it represents a systematic effort to maintain player ignorance about true odds. The gap between legal disclosure and ethical transparency, he noted, is wide enough to drive a slot machine through. The fourth secret exposes the calculated cynicism behind casino hospitality. Those free drinks, complimentary rooms, and spectacular shows aren't gifts. They're investments with expected returns. The leaked employee handbook includes entire sections on beverage service optimization, complete with internal metrics demonstrating how alcohol consumption correlates with increased betting and decreased decision-making quality. Free drinks aren't offered out of generosity. They're offered because data shows they work. The documents reveal that comp approvals, whether for rooms, meals, or entertainment, are calibrated to player loss thresholds. You didn't earn that free buffet through loyalty. You earned it through losing enough money that the casino's algorithm determined a $20 meal would keep you playing long enough to lose $200 more. Perhaps most disturbing are the training materials for casino hosts, those friendly faces who seem genuinely interested in your life and well-being. The leaked documents frame these relationships explicitly as strategic tools for player retention, instructing hosts to build false friendships that create feelings of obligation and encourage continued play, even when players express desire to quit. The CEO's response to this revelation was explosive, calling it a vicious attack on our dedicated hospitality professionals and threatening personal legal action against the whistleblower. He characterized casino comps as industry-standard customer appreciation, conveniently ignoring the coldly calculated metrics that determine every free drink and dinner. Hospitality ethics experts who reviewed the materials noted that while relationship building is common in many industries, the deliberate cultivation of false friendship to enable financially destructive behavior crosses ethical lines that legitimate businesses typically respect. The fifth and final secret affects everyone who's ever tried to leave a casino with their winnings intact. The leaked architectural blueprints and design documents reveal that casinos are deliberately constructed to make exiting difficult. This goes far beyond the well-known absence of clocks and windows. The layouts are intentionally confusing, with exits hidden and circuitous paths that route departing players past maximum gaming opportunities. Winners are specifically funneled through high-density slot areas on their way to cashiers. Speaking of cashiers, their locations aren't random. Internal documents refer to exit friction design, placing cash-out points strategically distant from actual exits and surrounded by tempting games. Even the cash-out machines themselves, those convenient ticket redemption kiosks, are positioned to maximize what planners call reinvestment opportunities. The psychological triggers don't stop when you decide to leave. They intensify. Everything from carpet patterns to ceiling heights is calibrated to subtly encourage that one last bet, that final pull of the lever. This revelation prompted the CEO's most aggressive response yet, with legal threats against any media outlet publishing what he called proprietary business strategies taken out of context. His statement acknowledged that casino design considers customer flow and experience, but characterized the leaked documents as standard architectural planning, devoid of manipulative intent. However, Mark Stevens, an architect who formerly specialized in casino design and now advocates for transparent retail practices, confirmed that exit friction is indeed a deliberate design philosophy in the industry. He compared it to dark patterns in digital interfaces, technically legal, arguably effective, but ethically questionable practices that prioritize profit over consumer welfare. The aftermath of these revelations continues to unfold. The whistleblower remains anonymous, reportedly in consultation with attorneys about potential legal exposure. The CEO has made good on threats, with the casino filing lawsuits and demanding investigations into how confidential materials were obtained. The broader casino industry has circled the wagons, with trade associations releasing statements dismissing the leaks as disgruntled employee fabrications, despite not disputing the authenticity of any specific documents. Several state gaming regulators have quietly indicated they're reviewing the materials to determine if any practices violate existing consumer protection statutes, though industry observers note that current regulations have considerable gaps when it comes to psychological manipulation versus outright fraud. Consumer advocacy groups are calling for enhanced transparency requirements and mandatory disclosure of the psychological tactics employed by casinos. The conversation has expanded beyond gambling, with commentators drawing parallels to manipulative practices in social media, mobile gaming, and retail design. What makes casinos unique is the concentration and sophistication of these tactics, all focused on the singular goal of separating visitors from their money as efficiently as possible. For anyone who visits casinos, these revelations offer important lessons. Understand that every element of your experience is designed with calculated intent. Those loyalty cards provide convenience, but enable surveillance and targeting. Free drinks impair judgment by design. The environment itself is constructed to disorient and encourage continued play. Most importantly, the odds are always against you in ways that disclosure statements don't make clear. If you choose to gamble, set strict limits before you enter. Never chase losses, and recognize that the friendly host or strategically timed comp is a business transaction, not a gesture of genuine care. Resources for gambling addiction are available through organizations like the National Council on Problem Gambling, and seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. This story represents more than one employee's vendetta or one CEO's public meltdown. It's a rare glimpse behind the carefully constructed facade of an industry built on information asymmetry and psychological manipulation. Whether these revelations will lead to meaningful regulatory reform or simply fade into the news cycle remains to be seen. What's certain is that the casino industry's secrets are becoming harder to keep, and executives' explosive reactions may be the strongest evidence that the whistleblower struck closer to truth than they're willing to admit.